Tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Talk is here. Me and Omar talk. We wrap up the Sunday night game, Chiefs at Baltimore. We had a lot of thoughts on it. So get ready for that. We talk Sunday night up top. We talk Lamar. We get into a little bit of our past, something we bonded on as kids, the Howard Stern Show. We talk about our history with the show, our listening, our viewing, our thoughts on the show currently, too. So you're going to want to listen to that. And then, of course, our Sunday night breakdown. But first, this week, I am recording a new episode of Running It Back. So we have something new coming down the pipe to listen to. So check that out. Be on the lookout for it. Interesting interview. Hasn't happened yet. So details are coming, but it will be up this week. So you can look forward to another Running It Back, my other show on the YouTube channel. But right now, here's the breakdown. Me and Omar's teams, San Francisco 49ers, his team, Las Vegas Raiders, my team, are both 2-0. When does that ever happen? So we definitely talk about that. We talk about Omar's potentially toxic relationship with Jimmy Garoppolo. That I think I have more questions on after he explains it. Not to mention Monday night predictions are way too early picks. The whole deal. We get all into it. Me and Omar, right now, the Sunday Night Talk for Week 2. Here you go. All right, we just wrapped up Sunday night. The Sunday Night Talk is here. It's 8:36 West Coast time. Omar Carmona joining me on a Sunday night. How are you doing? You got the 49ers gear is on, the hat, the jersey, the helmets are out.
We're on a winning streak, Patrick. We're on a winning streak with 2-0. So we're going to keep this going until we get a loss. Hopefully.
You and me both.
Right. Hey, how about that?
Well, week 2 in the NFL, a week where we saw some teams flex, some teams whimper, and everyone else just got injured. Omar Carmona, what does Sunday night mean to you overall? How do you view a Sunday night in the NFL?
Well, this Sunday night, of all Sunday nights, was a really good Sunday night. We got a great football game to wrap the, Week 2 Sunday slate up. Great game. Ravens, Chiefs. Ravens recently have had no luck against the Chiefs, so it was great to see Lamar Jackson get a huge win at home against Patrick Mahomes.
You know what I like about Sunday night in general is nobody likes Sunday night. It's the end of the weekend. You're going back to work the day after. You're going back to school the day after. And you have one last piece of dessert with the Sunday night game before you have to put yourself in work mode. So you've got one last something to view. You've got one last something to talk about for tomorrow at the office or school. And then you just call it a day. You call it a day on a Sunday.
So here's my recommendation. If you see that as a problem, this is what I've been doing maybe the last 3-4 years, okay? I make sure that for the next day, there is really little to nothing on my schedule.
Oh.
So it's kind of like I try to stretch the weekend as long as possible.
So you plan ahead, you plan your Monday to not be a stressful Monday?
To not be a stressful Monday. That way I kind of can enjoy the Sunday a little more.
What time do you go in on a Monday? Does it even start there with the morning time you have to start work?
Well, tomorrow I start at 10 and it's a very informal meeting. So I also pick and choose what I'm going to be doing. It's a very laid back, informal meeting. We're going to get work done, but I mean it's not going to be anything that, I'm not going to be splitting the atom tomorrow at 10 a.m.
This is a smart man. Smart move from a very experienced counselor right here.
Yeah, just ease into the week, baby.
Ease into it.
The week.
What do you do when there isn't a Sunday night game?
Oh, so then I don't mind having regular work days on Mondays, but football Mondays during the week need to be respected.
Respect the Sunday night. Respect
Respect
the
Sunday night.
Monday
Yeah.
following.
So Mondays just take it easy, and that's the way you show respect to Sunday night.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Because Sunday can be a stressful day for a lot of people. And the fact that we get one last football game that evening can give you a little solace, can give you a
Yeah,
little something before you start worrying about the work week.
for sure.
Yeah. Sunday night is an interesting time because you can take it a few different ways. You can be stressed. You can feel like you had a good weekend. If you went too hard during the weekend, usually by Sunday night you're starting to feel better.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know? So it always trips me out when the people who don't follow football, even on the peripheral, who never watch Sunday football or never really have a team to follow, what they do on a Sunday. Like sometimes I don't watch every single minute of every single game, but I keep an eye on things. I kind of know what's going on, and then I kind of catch up on the scores. The people who don't watch football on a Sunday, I don't even know what their experience is for a Sunday night.
Who knows?
What do you do? Like you go shopping? What do you go to the
Yeah.
beach?
I
I have
don't know.
no idea.
I don't know. I don't know what that's like.
Well, big day in week 2. Both our teams won, but let's start with Sunday night. Baltimore or Kansas City at Baltimore. Baltimore wins 36-35. Can we just rename the team the Baltimore Lamars at this
Well,
point? Because
but
I think he did everything besides return punts.
well, here's the thing though, but he did turn the ball over twice early in the game, and so I was going back to, wow, you ended Monday night turning the ball over. Now you're turning the ball over again. So it was a great win. I don't want to take anything away from the Ravens, but at the same time, I think Lamar Jackson has to address some of these turnovers because he was able to pull the win off today, and I think it was a great team effort. And you're right, Lamar was definitely the MVP tonight, but I mean, maybe next time the Chiefs aren't going to be so forgiving. So it's something I think it's something the Ravens are going to have to address this week.
Well, let's talk Lamar first because coming off of Monday night, he lost that game
Right.
to
Oh
the
yeah.
Raiders. He lost it. They had a golden opportunity. He fumbled the ball. He fumbled earlier in the game. It was totally on his shoulders. So the comeback game against the defending conference champions was a huge, huge stage. And like, to be honest, I didn't think he was going to play that well. I thought he was going to fold again. I didn't think Baltimore had the defense to keep up with KC. I didn't think they had the firepower to put up points
Right.
with KC. He throws the early pick 6. So I'm like, oh, here we go. And then, God damn it, he turns it around and he wins this game for the Ravens. So
Yes, he did.
Lamar really surprised me today. He might
Yeah.
be, we might be talking about him in elite level in the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Lamar was great. Yeah, Lamar was very clear this week. He said, look, you can praise me all you want, but I'm nothing until I win a Super Bowl. So I think that's the right attitude to have if you're Lamar Jackson.
The early pick 6, Lamar, they had the graphic where Lamar has never beaten Kansas City.
No.
And then Mahomes looks 100%. I think we forget that he wasn't 100% in that Super Bowl last year.
Right.
And Mahomes is back to 100%. So full like 2 heavyweights. We had a heavyweight match today going back and forth. And then I got word that like, oh, it's going to just be last person with the ball. It's set up for Kansas City to take the last possession, win the game. And then Baltimore's defense comes through. I still don't know how that guy caused the fumble. I don't know how he did that. Just
I
stuck
have no idea how that happened, but great. What a thrilling moment for the Ravens.
Yeah, big home win on a Sunday night. Here's my couple of notes from the game. Baltimore's offense is really, really good. The Lamar jump pass gave me some chills. Receivers are open all over the place in this game for Baltimore. Lamar's hitting everybody,
Right.
and then Lamar can run anywhere. He is going
Oh,
anywhere.
absolutely.
And then it makes me think that KC's defense might be the weak link of their team this season. They may be constantly battling high-scoring games all year long unless they kind of figure out how to stop an offense.
Right.
And then also my other note is Lamar does anything so much that he does flips into the end zone now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That was awesome. But hey, what a way to end a week, and it was an exciting week. And people make a big deal all the time. If you end up 2-0, or if you end up 0-2, it really the statistics are or are not in your favor. And so this is a huge week for people when you think about it, statistically speaking.
Yeah. Let's go to the fourth down call. It's 4th and 1, 1:05 on the clock. Were you surprised that Baltimore goes for it at that point? Did you think they should have punted it? What was your call?
I think I'm not surprised they went for it. I was a little surprised by the play call, though. I thought it was a ballsy call, and what I couldn't help but think is they succeeded. They got those yards, and it was the right call. But I mean, don't you think there's an element of, wow, John Harbaugh would have looked like a goat? I mean, would have looked like a fool had they not gotten it, And so it was very risky, very gutsy. I'm glad it worked out for the Ravens in the end.
Yeah, let's flip it for a second. Say they don't get that fourth down.
They're gonna destroy him in the press.
I forgot what yard line they were on, but they were field goal range, I think.
Yeah.
So the game.
No, they weren't. They were on the other side.
They were on the other side of the 50. Okay, so the Chiefs would have still had to do some work, and they had.
No, they were on. I mean, yeah, you're right. Had they stopped them, the Ravens would have been the Chiefs would have been in field goal range, right?
Okay, I thought so. Yeah. So yeah, say they don't get they essentially hand the game to them or the opportunity to kick that field goal. So it was an all or nothing play. Gutsy, yeah. It would have been interesting to see the Collinsworth, the Al Michaels reactions if they hadn't gotten it, and then all the press, because you can never win. I'm convinced a fourth down call, you can never win.
No.
If you make the right call, but you don't get it, you're an idiot. If you make the right call and you get it, you're an absolute genius.
Right.
So big call. I got 2 Chris Collinsworth quotes from the game for you. There was, I believe it was, they're going into the fourth down play.
Okay.
And we got 4th and 1. The offense is coming on the field, and Chris Collinsworth just gives a huge, oh boy. He is so excited to watch this 4th and 1 play. And then after the game, Chris Collinsworth, quote, "I would like to clap for that game." I like that he's such a fan that he wanted to stand up and clap in the booth. He loves the game.
To defend the game's honor. I like it.
Yeah. 2 last notes. 15 Baltimore players are on IR, and Drew Brees is now on the NBC crew. I can't remember anything he says. It seems like he's still figuring out how to be a broadcaster and stuff, but he's in there, and he's got a full head of black hair.
Well, I will say, I was paying close attention to him today, and he seems more. It doesn't seem like this is his first go around with this thing. So he's doing really well. He's got some good insight, and he's always been a real bright guy. So I really like the Drew Brees addition of that crew.
It makes total sense that Drew Brees would slide right into commentary. I can't wait till a few more weeks in when the Saints are 3-4, and like Rodney Harrison just goes, "Hey Drew, what would your record be right now if you were on the team? Would you be 4-3? Would you be 5-2? What would you be? Come on now, what would you?" And then it makes me think, how long till we get Peyton Manning in some sort of booth commentary thing? I know they wanted him for Monday Night Football.
He's doing his thing for Monday Night Football.
Is he doing something for Monday night?
Yeah, you got to watch.
He's not in the booth.
He's with Eli. He's doing something with Eli. Watch it.
Okay. Well, I saw something Monday. I watched the Monday game, and then the day after, there was something with Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, and Russell Wilson on a Zoom, and they just watched the entire overtime of the Ravens game. And it wasn't like flashy, but it was really interesting. He's like, okay, we're in 2 deep coverage here. They should run it. And then Eli says something. Russell Wilson says something. I enjoyed it. I was like, just talk about the game and then re-air the last 5 minutes of it just in a Zoom. We have all the technology now.
It's very good. So you gotta check it out. We you know what we should do is probably watch tomorrow, and let's talk about it next week.
Yeah, let's see what they do with tonight's game, or they're doing Monday night games, at least what I saw
Monday
last
night.
week. So they had Russell Wilson with them. So maybe it's a rotating chair of who they
Yeah,
have talking with them. It's a brilliant idea. And like Peyton's in a studio, Eli seemed to be in a studio, and then Russell Wilson is like in his house. And
for sure.
they're just commentating on the game live. It surprises me that Peyton
Let's
isn't in the
watch it.
booth somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's watch.
All right, let's talk the Sunday games. I got okay, I split it up into 2 must-watch games and 1 no-watch games. My must-watch games of Sunday were Las Vegas Raiders at Pittsburgh
That was a good one.
and Dallas at the LA Chargers.
That was a
My
good one.
2 games I didn't want to miss. And then my no-watch game was Denver at Jacksonville. I had no interest in that game whatsoever.
I can't really see much no watch game. I think everything had a little, only because we're trying to see who's gonna come out 2-0, who's gonna come back to reality, who's gonna bounce back, like Buffalo bounced back. I want to point out the exciting game that was the Cardinals Vikings, though. I paid special, close attention.
Really? That was your game, huh?
Well, I watched them. I watched a little bit here and there. My son had a baseball game, the during the early morning game, so I was listening to the Niners Eagles on the radio with my my headpiece on while I'm cheering my son's baseball team. But that Cardinals Vikings, that was an exciting game. And yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row now that the Vikings were in it to the very end, and just heartbreaking loss. They're an 0-2 team that could very well be 2-0 tonight. And so I'm sure that that's something that's really burning in Coach Zimmer, and Kirk Cousins. But they're not a bad football team. And then you have the Cardinals, and they're 2-0. Well, let's talk about the NFC West. The NFC West is 7-1 because the Seahawks lost in overtime. So,
Right.
wow, then teams like the Bills, teams like the Titans, they bounced back. Teams like the Chargers came back to reality. Now they're 1-0. I mean, they're 1-1. Bears bounced back. Cincinnati comes back to reality. So there's this interesting, even with the 1-1 teams. Now, where do you go from here? Is it? I don't think it's panic time yet, but you don't want to go 1-2 next week.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The fun is slowly coming out of the teams, and now it's like kind of business time. Like, 2-0,
Oh, it's
okay,
business.
what we're doing is right. We're 0-2. It's time to make changes. 1-1, okay, we're at a corner. Can we get on the winning streak? So
It seemed like last week everyone was ready to name the Comeback Player of the Year award the Jameis Winston Award.
right,
And
Jameis was MVP in some people's brains last
yeah,
week.
and it's like, oh wow, he looked like Jameis Winston today.
It was Jameis Winston down to earth day,
Yeah,
big time today, and I didn't see that happening against Houston like it happened. The other thought I had with Houston is it doesn't even seem like Deshaun Watson is even in our heads anymore. We totally moved on from him. That was the first controversy of the offseason, and now we're totally done. They're like, we got Tyrod, we'll just play, and there's no mention of Deshaun anymore. Are they just done with him, or just going to sit him and then try and trade away his...
he is going to be a healthy scratch from here on out.
It seems that way. It seems like they are all aboard with whoever else they can put in there. I got, by my count, 4 starting QBs were injured today. Tua, Dalton, Tyrod Taylor, Wentz. Baker Mayfield got injured, but he came back. So we're already in week 2. Dudes are dropping like flies. And now I'm thinking like Cam Newton is going to get a call somewhere. And maybe he's gonna go somewhere to back up, or at least be on the field, on the sidelines somewhere.
I actually I would like the Texans to give him a shot. I think he'd fit well with that team. It's a young team, and I think they could use a leader. Remember, in that Houston locker room, some significant leaders have left recently. Deshaun Watson, well, I guess not much of a leader if he got himself into this mess. But on DeAndre Hopkins left last year, J.J. Watt, and how do you replace J.J. Watt in the locker room if you're the Texans? Well, I think Cam Newton would be a good start. I think people would listen to him in that locker room.
I'd like to see him in Houston. I'd like to see him somewhere because I think Cam Newton's got game left in him. But Houston sounds fun, like a good backup, a good leader. We're talking a former MVP of the
MVP.
league
Mm-hmm.
and really a series away from a Super Bowl win as well. So I think he's going to end up. So we predicted he would end up somewhere, whether it's at the end of week 2. That would be interesting. I vote for it.
Right.
2-0 surprises. I got 3 teams that are surprise 2-0s. Both of them are our teams, Vegas and San Francisco. And Carolina. I got Carolina as the 2-0 surprise team.
That's a big surprise team. That really is. Um, my surprise team is going to be the Broncos and, like you said, the Carolina Panthers. I think maybe there's a there we could consider that maybe their schedule hasn't been the strongest.
Yeah, that's the only reason I took Denver off my 2-0 surprise. They
Yeah,
had a
right.
weak
And with
schedule, but they're
with
2-0.
Denver, it's how good are you going to look when you got to go to Arrowhead and play against Patrick Mahomes? Totally different story. How good are the Panthers going to look when they got to go to Raymond J. Stadium and play the Buccaneers? So
Yeah.
we got to pay close attention to that. But still, 2-0, hey, it's great. The Raiders, I don't know if I'm surprised. I mean, they look strong at the end. That tight end with Waller, man, he's a great tight end. Derek Carr seems to be playing well. So, and then with the Niners, they were a playoff team last year, but they just got hurt. So I don't think it was necessarily a drop off in talent or coaching. They just got the injury bug and had to, had the record they did and missed the playoffs. But I'm not surprised about with that at all. I think that there's a lot of talent on those teams. Now, as far as teams that are 0-2,
Any surprises there? 0-2 teams that are surprises to you?
I'm not. No, the Vikings. I think, I think the Vikings are. Like I said, they were in these last 2 weeks. They've been in every game. It's come down to the very end. So, they're a good team and they're a lot better than 0-2. I can tell you that. But everyone else, no, I'm not surprised. The Falcons, terrible team. The Giants are a terrible team. The Jets are a terrible team. So no, I'm no surprises there.
I have no surprises of the 0-2 teams either. Every team that's 0-2 looks like they should be 0-2. So that looks normal.
Oh, you're hating on the Vikings.
Nah, they Vikings are always bad. They always find ways to lose one-score games, things like that. But it brings me to, because I didn't get to gloat last week with my team's win, my Raiders' big win on Monday night, and then they win again today. So now I'm watching them really closely, and it seems this year the Raiders are falling ass backwards into wins. Whereas in years past, we always fell ass backwards into losses. It would be an offsides penalty. It would be Derek Carr fumbling the ball through the end zone. It would be a delay of game. It would be a missed kick. We always found a way to lose. And this year we have found ways to win. Monday night, they cause a fumble on Lamar after a crazy turnover in the red zone before in overtime. So they pull off the win. And then this week, Steelers are coming back on them. And all of a sudden the Raiders have offense. And they're converting third downs and they're making plays. Renfro guy is catching balls, taking huge hits and hanging on to it. And they're making all the kicks. They're making the tough kicks as well. And then I saw the stat that Derek Carr has taken the team to the playoffs one time, and he didn't even play in that playoff game.
Right.
He was injured. So Derek Carr, my big fear was Derek Carr was our Tony Romo. And he was going to be a great QB. Everybody liked him. Humanitarian. He's feeding the homeless. But can't get wins. Can't get playoff wins. So great start to the Raiders season. And then I have something in the categories coming up with them. But I don't think they could have had a better start. They're winning games. Gruden looks happy. Gruden legitimately looks happy with his big old barrel gut on the sidelines. Derek Carr might be dyeing his hair black.
Right.
I don't know. But I think he got it from the year Tom Brady dyed his hair black. And he said, this works. I'm going to do this.
Now that you mentioned that, we got Tom Brady jet black. We got Derek Carr, Drew Brees. Maybe we got to be watching out for these quarterbacks going through jet black hair. Something to look out for.
Right. Right. Let's not rule it out. If you're 2 and 0, whatever you're doing is working. Keep it up, I say. Other notes Sunday night. I think we have a lot of taunting penalties now. Whatever. I know they're trying to clean it up, but whatever happened to sticks and stones?
No, this is, you know,
You're for the taunting penalty or not?
I'm for, the problem is here's the situation with the taunting penalty. The reason I think, and there is a player safety reasoning behind it, because if you let them handle things on their own, someone's gonna take a shot to the head. You know what I mean? Because eventually somebody's gonna get tired of all the smack talk and all the the waving and the pointing, and then the next time they go up the middle, you're gonna get smacked. And now it becomes a player safety thing where was there a little more juice on that hit because of the taunting. So I think that's why they're really trying to does it seem boring? Yeah. Does it seem a little ticky tack sometimes? Yeah, I do. I just think they're really trying to, make sure that they're not getting so angry to the point that they're, could potentially really hurt somebody going down the middle.
So you're thinking it's a preemptive type of penalty, a precautionary penalty where if we curb the taunting, that's going to curb a punch down the road?
Well, you think about it because these coaches aren't, these coaches are like, hey, we're trying to win a football game, and because you pointed at somebody, that cost me 10 yards. You know what I mean? Or what taunting's a 10 yard or a 15 yard?
I was going to say it was 15. It was an
Okay.
unsportsmanlike.
So yeah, okay, so yeah, yeah, you're right. It's 15. And so if that's the case, you know, your ass is going to sit on the bench if you can't control your your emotions, where you're going to be picking up these taunting calls when every game counts. You can't have 15-yard penalties for nonsense anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I see I think you make a good point with the preemptive aspect of it. But whatever happened to some good trash talk? Whatever happened to getting in someone's head? Whatever happened to some Reggie Miller, some Charles Barkley?
look,
Anything you
Patrick,
say is fair game. You can't can't put hands on anybody. But I like a little trash talk.
this is
Finger pointing
maybe
is fine in my book.
this is a show for another day, because I think we could talk a long time about this. But look, some of these guys in the league just aren't right, man, in the head, if you know what I mean. Okay, and so there's some guys out there that I would not want to be finger pointing at, because they will rough you up next time around. And I think that's the concern, man. A lot of these headshots is it's taking a toll on some of the guys, and their reaction, I don't think they have a cool off period. You know what I mean? Their first instinct is to put somebody on their ass. So I think that's the reason.
Fair point. Last takeaway Sunday is we still don't have a controversy yet. We haven't had
Oh,
did he break the plane? Did he not break the plane? Did he catch it? Did he not catch it? Nothing yet. I know we're going to have something, but we've been pretty clean as far as refereeing goes
what
this
has
year,
been?
these two
I want
weeks.
you to think back in recent memory. What has been? Can you think of one major controversy on field? Major controversy.
Oh, please. Who are you talking to? The tuck rule?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
the
How about
the
the
incomplete.
interception? The Seahawks Packers interception, where the scrub referees were the ones that one called touchdown, the other
Yep.
called interception.
Right, right. The Hail Mary that was replacement referees, if I'm not mistaken, that year.
Des
That
Des
called
Bryant's
that was
Des
one.
Bryant's catch,
The Des Bryant catch was huge. That was a big referee
completing
call.
you complete the process.
Yeah, that started just a tidal wave of is it a catch conversations in offices and bars for probably the next 5 years.
The
So,
how about was it the Vikings Saints pass interference, or was it the Rams?
oh, right, the Rams one.
Johnson,
The Rams
yeah,
no
John
pass
Payton.
interference call
Ugh.
was
Oh
another
yeah,
one.
man.
Yeah, we
Oh
haven't
yeah.
had. I don't think we've had one yet. So we got close with. I just saw a Julio Jones touchdown that got called back today in the first half of a game. That was pretty darn close. But
So here's my problem. I saw, and again, you don't ever know if these photos are edited or whatnot. But it's like on the Julio Jones, I saw that play as it happened, and then I saw all the instant replays, and I just couldn't. It was hard to tell. Okay, but they eventually said, "Look, he may have touched. He touched it, so we're gonna call back the touchdown." Okay, fine, right? That's the call. And but they showed like those four different cameras. They showed at least each camera like 5 6 times, and next thing you know, the game's over. Now, luckily for the Titans, they did win, but the game's over, and then like, oh, there's a pretty clear photo, and he's clearly in. So it's like, where was that angle when we were looking for
Yeah.
for the right call?
I can't believe we're at a lack of angles in real time anymore either. With all the cameras that are on the field, I can't believe we have angles that still come out after the game. But luckily, nothing controversial yet. I forgot about the Des Bryant one in the playoff game. That was huge. That was a huge one where we had to reconsider. You know how we're always reimagining things in advertising? We're reimagining what it is to drive a Subaru. We're reimagining what it is to take a dog on an airplane. That was our time to reimagine what a catch was in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Oh
That
yeah.
was talk upon talk. The Des Bryant, Tony Romo. I think that was Green Bay conference, not conference, maybe a divisional round of the
Yeah. But
playoffs.
still, and it seemed like his Des Bryant's career never recovered after that.
Right. That might have been the height of the Romo era, was that playoff.
Right.
We two main takeaways. Okay, before we get to the questions, the awards, and our thoughts, I want to talk Howard Stern for a second.
Okay.
You and I are both religious Howard Stern listeners.
Oh yeah.
And over the last, it's been 20 plus years, I think his show's taken a lot of turns. I've always loved it. Do you feel that it is a different show in the last 3 to 5 years than it's been in the
Absolutely.
past? And then tell me how you came to even listen to Stern when you were a kid.
Well, I got wind of Howard Stern because I heard that there was this crazy, shock jock on the radio, and El Paso had him on 93.1, and so I was able to listen to him. Now I'd catch the tail end of the show because I'd be driving. My mom would be driving us to school, and surprisingly she'd let me listen, um,
Yeah.
but. But then I guess we'd be catching the tail end because it'd be like between 7:30 to 8 when I'd be listening, and by then Howard Stern show was almost over, because he was East Coast time, and we didn't. It's not like today where I could have heard it on demand, anything like that. So I could get that small window, but I thought it was hilarious. And then after that, I got into the E show, because I had we had cable, and so I was able to watch the E show, and that was just great because they just had great clips, great segments. Every episode was fantastic, and the fact that you could actually like see inside the studio. um I mean, how great is that?
Yeah, I don't think there was
How
anything like that before. There was just
no.
recording of a
Well,
radio
I,
show.
I think Imus had a camera, but that's awful. Rush Limbaugh had a camera, I think, but that who wants to watch that? Howard's was great because somebody's talking, like there's a celebrity talking, and they're basically sitting right next to the Gary puppet.
Right. You got to see the Gary puppet. You got to see what Jackie looked like. You got to see where Fred sat. I never knew what Robin looked like. I didn't know Robin was black. I
Yeah,
think, and I don't think I was alone in that. We're like, oh, that's Robin. That's what Robin looks like. I think I had seen what Howard had looked like. But the E channel, I think, for people in our region, because Howard Stern got taken away from our radio waves circa 94, 95 ish, and we couldn't listen to him. He never came back
no,
to El Paso. So when he came on the E channel and
right,
you got to visually watch it, that was at least my outlet. How I
right,
would catch up and how I would know the characters. The other thing Howard did, and Letterman did this as well, was incorporate the staff. Was you knew who Gary was, the producer. You knew who
right,
Jackie the writer was. You knew you knew the name of the interns. And same with Letterman is you know who Biff was. You know who the producer. Same with Regis and Kathy Lee. They would make fun of their producer, and you would see what he looked like. And
right.
that sort of let us. It almost felt like we were all in on the family as well. We're like, oh, we know the names as well too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking this. You talk about you would listen to it with your mom. I would listen to it alone. Your mom was always fairly liberal with media she would let you consume. I remember you had
Yeah.
all the CDs. You always had all the music. You had movies. You always had like movies on VHS. Whereas in my house, they were a little more strict with what you could get. Whereas you had everything. So you were sort of the outlet to a lot of media for
You
me. Where I
know
was like,
what?
oh, can I listen to this CD? Omar's got it.
My mom's rule was this. My mom's rule was this. You can listen to whatever you want, watch whatever you want, you know, but just don't repeat the stuff at school like an idiot. You know what I mean? And so I think,
Would that work though? Wouldn't you always?
yeah,
Wouldn't you do it anyway?
well, yeah, but I mean, like, I guess just don't get caught.
Well, see, that made sense. That was her rule, and she stuck to it.
Yeah,
Um, okay, so my question with Stern is, so now we listen to it now. The show's been on forever. It went from radio to satellite radio, which I carried over to, and now it seems like a different show to me. Howard used to be on daily, and then with Sirius, it turned into 3 days a week. He's on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
yep,
And then most recently, he took the whole summer off. And there were no live shows all summer long. And now it's back to 3 days a week. He's doing it from his home. He's not in the studio anymore. They built a studio
right,
that guests come to, and Howard's on a screen doing the radio show there. So the show isn't entirely different. I don't know if I necessarily don't like it. I still like it, but
right,
it's an entirely different show now. I think it's more
right.
celebrity. I think it's more. Um, I think it's more agreeable now of a show. I don't think it's controversial, but it's his show, so I
Yeah,
don't begrudge it. It's his show. He can do what he wants. And as much as I wish I could skip all the political talk that Howard does and go straight to the phony phone calls,
right.
I still listen to every minute. I absolutely do.
I do too.
So
I got no problem with that. It's a great show. Yes, it's changed. And you know the thing is, people, you know, I hate when the people start saying, oh well, hey man, he, you know, that was Fart Man, and he, you know, he was a sellout. Well, had he kept doing Fart Man, how much longer would you have thought that was funny? You
mhm.
know, I mean, it was funny at that time, you know, when it happened. But then there would have come a time when Bartman wasn't going to be funny anymore, you know, and certain bits weren't going to be funny. So it's changed, but it's changed to, like he says, I find this fascinating, and some things he finds fascinating now he probably wouldn't have found fascinating, you know, back then. In 1988, he probably wouldn't have found, you know, sitting down with an A-list celebrity and, you know, really getting to their career. He probably would have thought that was going to be boring, you know.
Mhm.
And so yeah, he's evolved and the show's evolved as a result. So I'm fine with the show.
My main gripe with the show now is there's no more pushback on celebrities. It feels like he is a champion of every single celebrity, and I don't feel like he pushes celebrities anymore, at least in interviews. But maybe he doesn't want to. But it used to be in the past, he would really grill a Pamela Anderson. He would really grill who else would come in there? Like a Gilbert Godfrey. He would grill them to get information of how they actually handled things. And now it seems everything is a pat on the back. Again, it's fine, but those early interviews where the guests would get mad or they would go at each other was
I
deep.
want to
And in it, go ahead.
I want to say that I see what you're saying. I just think that with the experience, he knows now who he can ask, and that comes with experience. You know what kind of questions you can get away with certain guests, and which ones you're not going to be able to get away with. Because if he asks a question to a guest who's being real cool, talking about their career, some personal things, but then if he gets too personal, that could really bring the interview down. You know, if there's an awkwardness between him and the interviewee. But then again, there's some celebrities he's got no problem asking a real tough, hey, well, who'd you sleep with last? You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and, and so I think he just with the experience, he knows where to, you know, he knows when to ask certain things, and I think that's totally because of experience.
Yeah, I would agree. I think in the past he would have wanted the awkwardness. I think he would have wanted to have the person squirm, and I don't think he cared if celebrities didn't like him in the past. And now I think he absolutely cares. And I think the interviews that he's been doing remotely, we have the technology, we can do remote interviews, but they're not the same. If anybody can do a great interview remotely, it's him, but they're not the same. The delay in audio hurts the interview. The fact that they're not there one-on-one, I think gives someone the ability to be defensive much easier.
Sure.
So I think they're doing great interviews because that's the only way he wants to do them. He wants to be remote, and it can be done, but I do think the interviews are different. My last point is, did Howard create modern day podcasts? Because his show was one-on-one. They didn't go to commercial, and they would just talk. And that's essentially what podcasts are these days.
I don't know, man. I got this a podcast recently that I think there's a little too much commercial in them. I mean the bigger ones obviously have commercials and sponsors now, but I maybe he did. I mean, I think what Howard did is basically he showed radio people, this is what you have to do if you want to be successful. But he was so good at it. He also had to show them, like, well, since I'm the king of the mountain right now, you're gonna have to figure out other ways to be successful because I'm the only one who can really do this. So I could definitely see him playing a role in that.
It's interesting because early in his career, he bucked the trend so hard of, I don't want to do a commercial break every 7.5 minutes. I don't want to say the time and weather. I want to do a long form interview. And he did that and was successful. And now the podcasts are essentially doing that model. And that's what he's upset about is he doesn't like people doing the podcast. But this is the crowd that is bucking the trend again. And you're right. A lot of podcasts are just essentially radio shows with commercials and stuff. A few of them are doing the long form, but we dig it as an audience. It feels like we're in the room right there with them. So I wonder where the show goes. And his contract is up in 4 years. I forget, it's 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I think he's done. I think he's retiring. I think he's only doing the show now remotely because he's contracted to do it, and he's loyal to his staff. But I don't see it going beyond that, at least in this radio form in the traditional sense.
No, but he's built quite the library, so it's gonna be fine. We're all gonna move on, and we're still gonna have a vast archive. I assume, I don't know for sure. I assume SiriusXM is still gonna own all of that stuff.
That's a good question. Who owns it? Does he own it? Does Sirius own it? Because they have this war chest of Howard content for 30 plus years, and they can just rerun shows and bits and clips of it, and I'll listen to it. I love it.
Well, I imagine with the amount of money they paid him, I think it was assumed that, hey, but we keep all this tape, right? So
yeah, we have it now. We can run it. So I think even though he'll retire, that show will live on for years. It's so great. I've heard them replay Gary bits where he says McKine probably 8 times, and I love it every time. I love the Artie fights. I can't get enough. What was your best era of Stern? Who was in the chairs in your best era?
In the, I mean, I really, and for me personally, there's going to be great debate about this, but my favorite era has been the more modern. I like. It was, I think, a post Artie, only because I liked bringing more people in, getting people involved. The John Hines, the Will Murrays, the Benji, the JD, Richard, and Sal. That to me was golden.
I'm surprised.
You didn't get tired of any one single, because it was. I always thought Jackie could be a little tiring sometimes, although he was funny. But So I think for me the most enjoyable part has been just the addition of, letting more people contribute to the show.
My ideal was Howard, Robin, Fred, of course, but Artie in the chair was just a perfect combination, because I think Howard looked at him as a peer, whereas the Richard and Sal's and stuff, he doesn't look at them as peers. Whereas I think he looked at Artie as an equal comedically or professionally, And then Artie was New York. Artie was a New York guy. I think New York took him in, and everything that came out of his mouth was like local. So I thought Artie was great. I think he always chimed in, and Artie was good at being quiet when he felt he needed to. And when it was time to like riff and give it back and forth, the classic was when Artie would get his own megaphone, and I think he would pretend to be Howard's wife, Beth, and he would rouse him about wanting to have a baby. And then Howard would take his megaphone, and he would be Artie's grandma and rouse him about not getting married to his longtime girlfriend. And they would they would pull no punches, and they would go against each other. I don't think anybody does that with Howard anymore. No one goes toe to toe with Howard. So Artie in the chair was my ideal era. Every time one comes on in Sirius where Artie gets in a fight or Artie talks to Andrew Dice Clay, I'm all in. I can't stop listening. So I think that the show is different. It's not my favorite time in the show's era, but Stern still rules to me.
Yeah, there you go.
To me, every show is an education in some way, shape, or form. So I still love the show, but it is different. It's a different show.
It is.
Okay, let's talk. Where are we at? Questions for the week. Question number 1, week 2 in the NFL. If the season ended today, I have four if the season ended today. Nominee number 1, Derek Carr, MVP. The return of the greatest show on turf. Miami tanks and gets the number 1 pick in the draft next year. And finally, if the season ended today, conference championship game, Tampa Bay versus Rams, Las Vegas versus Baltimore. If the season ended today, do you agree, disagree, or do you have different ones?
Okay. I'm going to go with my MVP. If the season ended today, I would hope Kyler Murray gets some love. Got to get Kyler Murray some love, okay? Now that's the guy who I think is playing the best football right now. But however, who would get the MVP right now? Tom Brady would get the MVP right now. He's off to statistically speaking, he may be up to his best start of his career. Okay, he's this is 43 years old. Okay, he best start of his career. My Super Bowl pick, here it goes. I'm going to be boring, but I'm going to go with Ravens Bucks. Ravens Bucks. Okay, mark it.
Yeah,
okay.
If the season ended today, I see that Super Bowl.
Okay.
Ravens are hot. Let's say the season ended today. The Ravens are on a hot streak. Tampa Bay's firing all cylinders. Sure.
My way too early coach of the year, I'm going to stick to Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury.
Way too early coach of the year. Cliff Kingsbury. Okay.
Right. And here's my crazy thought. Trevor Lawrence is not the quarterback of the future. Urban Meyer is not the coach of the future in Jacksonville. And after 1 year, Jacksonville pulls that plug and drafts a quarterback next year.
Wow. Omar, that is way too early. That is way too early.
That is way too early. That's overreaction.
That was way too early coach of the year. Okay, I got 2 nominees for way too early coach of the year. Way too early coach of the year nominee right now, Sean McVay. He's got a new quarterback. His team is 2-0. They got a new stadium. I'm giving him way too early coach of the year. Nominee number 2, Urban Meyer turns it around.
Ugh.
And he wins coach of the year.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening. But somebody to watch out for, and coach of the year as well. Look out for John Gruden.
That's a good one too. Very good. Okay, you led me into my way too early category. Okay, I have a way too early prediction. Las Vegas Raiders go 6-0, and that leads into their matchup with Kansas City. 6-0 Las Vegas Raiders. Say Kansas City goes 5-1. That's my way too early. And then it leads into your San Francisco 49ers going possibly 6-2 or 7-1 into a matchup against the Rams. Here's your next few games for San Francisco. Green Bay, Seattle, Arizona, Indianapolis, Chicago, Arizona, then the Rams.
Ugh.
I think there's a world where they win 5 of those games.
I don't know. I think the Arizona. I think the 49ers' new big. I'm just gonna say this. I think the new dog in town, as far as the NFC West goes, I think it's the Cardinals. I really like their game. They got some
Okay.
weapons. They got some weapons on that team. So I'm more concerned with the Cardinals than I am the Rams, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Cardinals could spoil that. They were good for the first half of the season last year too, the Cardinals, before they
Yeah.
faded out. There's always a team that's way good into week 8 and then we never hear about him again. And you can even
Mhm.
put Russell Wilson in this category
Yeah.
too.
Oh
We
yeah.
gave him the MVP in week 7 and then we never talked about him again.
Yep.
What are your way too early predictions?
Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I still like, and let me get to the to their schedule. But I really like the Cowboys. I don't think this is gonna be a close. I don't think this is gonna be a close NFC East as it has been in other years. The Dallas Cowboys have Philadelphia at home. Their home opener. They have 3 straight home games and very winnable at home. They got Philadelphia, Carolina, New York Giants coming in, and then they go to at New England. But this is again not the same at New England team. They don't have Tom Brady. So let's as great as a coach as Bill Belichick is, then they got at Minnesota. You're not liking Minnesota this year. I don't think that Denver is truly a 2-0 team. They got the Falcons at home before they have a Week 11 game at Kansas City. I could conceivably see them being, 7-2, headed into that game.
That's a great way too early pick. Is Cowboys could easily go 7-2 looking at that schedule. All the
Yeah.
home games. That New England one gives me a question mark because they got to go across the country to New England, and there's always a slip up. So I could see them losing that game, but way too early pick. Cowboys are hot right now.
Yeah, they could be. Are you going to be in El Paso for Thanksgiving this year? Or is that too early?
Too early to say, but I rarely missed a Thanksgiving, so I would count on it.
We
Who's
got we
their
got
Thanksgiving game this year?
we got your Raiders.
Ooh, oh boy. We're talking live Sunday night talk potentially.
So we'll talk about that later.
Okay, how about make me angry? I have an argument that last week I made you angry, but this week I wrote a make me angry, and I made myself angry. Here's my make me angry column for this week. My most hated team, the Denver Broncos, ruins my Las Vegas Raiders playoff run at some point during the season. Say we've clinched a playoff berth. The last game doesn't matter. Week 17 doesn't matter. Denver beats us, and now we have to play Denver in the first round of the wild card. I hate when you got to play a team 2 weeks in a row
Oh,
like that. So I already see it in my head. We're having a great season. We tanked the last game because we already know we got a home game. Denver beats us, and then we have to play Denver at home in the wild card round.
okay.
Saturday early game too, the most hated game in all of NFL playoffs. Saturday early morning playoff.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
See, I made myself angry.
Yeah, that'd be nerve wracking.
What do you got for make me angry? Are you gonna make me angry or yourself angry?
I'm gonna make myself angry. Jimmy G did not look great. So what's making me angry is I just don't know. I don't. My faith is waning on him. So we'll see what happens with Jimmy G.
So you are upset with Jimmy G right now. Well, last year you were in some relationship with Josh Allen. This
Oh,
year,
and
if
he's
you're in,
another guy. He's kind of not a hot start. Not a hot start. So
what's your relationship like with Jimmy G right now? Are you guys friends? Are you colleagues? Are you dating?
I'm not calling him. I'm not calling him. He's
Are you
gonna
not?
call me.
You're not call.
He's gonna call me. I'm not gonna call him.
How many? How long has this relationship been going on with Jimmy G?
It's a toxic one. It's a toxic one. I'm still not over it. He hurt me at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, so I'm still not over that.
I can see you're still upset about it. What would it take for him to win you back over, though?
The Super Bowl. He's got to
Nothing
go above and
less?
beyond. Nothing less.
Nothing less than a Super Bowl.
Nothing less. He owes. He owes me one.
That's fair. That's fair. I can see you're upset about it. Okay, let's move on. Franchise, 1 year deal or send to a practice squad. I got this year or this week, franchise, Tampa Bay defense.
Okay.
Turnovers, sacks, they're fast. They're just as good as Tom Brady at this point. I'm franchising my Tampa Bay defense. I'm marrying the Tampa Bay defense. 1 year deal, give me Urban Meyer. Give me one hot year with Urban Meyer. Say he goes to the playoffs and then he quits, takes the USC job next year. So he's my 1 year guy. And then send to the practice squad both New York teams.
Oh.
I think we're in for another rough one.
I
Throw
don't
the
know
Knicks
about,
in there while we're at it.
I don't know about practice squad. I think those two need to be kicked out of the league altogether. I would like.
I'm kicking them out of the league. I'm sending them to the practice squad.
I don't think they need to be sent to the XFL or something. I don't think they need to be on the practice squad. I'm gonna franchise Kyler Murray. I'm gonna give Derrick Henry another year. With running backs, he pays so close attention because it's a very short shelf life with running backs, but he carried the ball real well today. So I want to give him another 1 year deal, and to the practice squad just so we can tweak some things. Josh Allen, we need to find last
Really?
we need to find last year magic.
Oh my God! You're sending Josh Allen to the practice squad?
I want to look at him again next week.
Surprising me all over the place here.
That's the thing about the practice squad. You can look at it next week.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not a true, because I deem practice squad the kill portion of marry, fuck, kill. So practice squad isn't necessarily kill. You can come back to it.
Right.
Here's Derrick Henry's stats. I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot about him. 35 carries, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns today. Derrick Henry might be just revving up his engines, and I need to consider if we got to fend with Tennessee this year.
Yeah,
if they're going to be good. They're kind of the secret good team that never plays on Sunday night, never gets a Monday night, and then they might very well be good. They might be home for playoffs at this point for another way too early pick.
For sure. So we'll see how that goes.
Last category, Sunday MVP. I got 2. Number 1, Sunday MVP, nominee number 1, Lamar Jackson, doing flips into the end zone, carrying Baltimore, converting 4th and 1s, and team doctors in general. So many injuries in the NFL today. Team doctors get the Sunday MVP. They're stretching out players, they're wrapping ankles, they're doing MRIs, they're breaking the news to players who are out for the season. Team doctors get the Sunday MVP as well.
My Sunday MVP is going to go to, we just talked about him, Derrick Henry. He just carried the ball, and all his damage was really done in the second half because he didn't have a spectacular first half, and he didn't have a very good first game last week. So it was nice to see him come out of it. My special MVP though is going to be Heineke out of Washington. He came up big for the Washington football team on Thursday night. Good for him. Guy came from nothing. Not exactly the football story that most are, accustomed to, but a good win for a young quarterback.
Yeah, the Derrick Henry Sunday MVP is good too. They're on the road. They come back. They win in OT, and now they're back. They're 1-1 now, and they're back on track. So Tennessee could be a team that could make a big run in the middle of the season. I could see.
Right.
Sunday MVP. Okay. Time for legal ramifications.
Okay.
Sponsored by still absolutely no one. But this week's legal ramifications, my law question for you. Explain to me bail. This is one of those terms I've heard a million years when someone says, he made bail. I'm setting your bail at. How is bail determined? How is it paid? What are those bail bond places that you see around town? And then lastly, where did the concept of bail come from?
Well, as far as the criminal justice system, the U.S. criminal justice comes from Old England common law. Okay, that's where our legal system comes from. And I want to say the bail system traces back to sometime in the 12th, 13th century, excuse me, where a sheriff had all the power, to go in and arrest somebody and hold somebody. But obviously, when the legal system was revamped, where we said, hey, look, if you accuse somebody, you better bring evidence because that person is presumed innocent until it's proven otherwise, until proven guilty. Well, you just can't hold somebody just because on an accusation, just for no reason. And so the bail system came so that there would have to be a reason. Remember, I mean, we're still talking about criminals though, so you really just can't take their word for it. Sure, I'll come back to my court date. So the bail system was introduced
Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Judge. Is that cool?
Especially when
I gotta watch the Sunday night game.
Especially when you live in a border town, where it's easy just to to get to get in a car and cross. So the bail system came about. So it just money that has to be paid. You can sign property over, just or certain bonds that have conditions that have to be met, where you'll end up back in jail if you don't comply. That's where the bail system comes from. It can be a little shady. I think sometimes bonding companies, they threaten people. You got to give me more money if I'm going to let you stay out of jail, help you stay out of jail. But that's where the bail system comes from.
Okay, so say I get arraigned or whatever it is when the judge sets bail, and he says, "Okay, I'm setting your bail at $1,000, $100,000." Okay, who am I paying that money to? Am I just writing a check? What am I doing with bail? How do I write?
Let's say the
bail?
judge says it's $100,000. Now, if you have a lot of money, you can pay that $100,000 into the court registry. And so what that means is basically this: I want to give you $100,000, judge. Okay, and if I miss court, you can keep my $100,000. Okay, that's why you hear outlandish bonds sometimes set at $2 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you have to assure it. Oh, there's no way this guy's gonna make it because we think he's gonna leave. Okay. Now, most of the time though, let's say the bond is set at 7,500. Let's say $10,000. Then a bonding company will say, hey, look, I'll post the bond. I'll be on the hook for the $10,000 with the court, but you need at least to pay me a little fee, and we typically take 10%. Okay. Now, on top of that though, because we don't think you're worth $10,000, which is what happen. It happens a lot in the criminal justice system. We also need your dad to sign over his house or something like that, so that way we can get our money somehow if you skip town.
I see. So the bail bond companies are their own business.
Oh
They're
yeah,
paying the bail money, and then you're indebted to them.
right.
And then you pay them the amount, the
Not
$10,000
the
or whatever.
total. You just got to pay them the fee,
Got
the
to pay
ten
them the
the
fee.
10%.
So
Now,
when
once the case is over, once the case is over, that 10% still belongs to the bail company. That's their
okay,
fee. Okay. Now, in the first example I gave you, if you pay into the court registry the $100,000, right, and you make all your courts, and let's say at the end of the day, your case is dismissed, you're gonna get that $100,000 back because it was your money. It was just
I
security.
gotcha.
Okay.
I follow. Okay, so you are paying the bail to essentially keep yourself there, and you will get it back at the end of the court proceedings, regardless of the verdict.
Outcome. Right. Yeah. As long when it's over, you get it all back.
So the point of the bail is what? To keep you in town? Well,
So that the court has a pound of flesh on you to assure that you're going to show up to all your court dates.
I see. Okay. That makes sense. And then the bail bond companies are a way for them to pay it, and then you pay a small percentage. They get
Right.
it back when the court is over. They keep
Right.
your percentage. So they're making a little dough
They're
on
making
that
some
end
dough.
as
They
well.
do. They do. They do quite well.
Okay. So when someone is reprimanded without bail, what's that
Oh,
mean?
that means it's something either really serious or maybe they're on probation and they said we're going to hold you without bail. In the federal system, they can just say we're going to detain you for as long as it takes and not give you a bond. So that can happen. Yeah,
That's
I'm
if
very
the crime is really serious, or they
Very
think the
serious.
person is a flight risk? Why would they determine that?
All of that. There are so many factors that a court can consider. Flight risk is a big one. The severity of the offense, meaning how serious is this? They're not gonna, on a if you steal a big screen TV, they're not gonna hold you on a $100,000 bond. You know what I mean? When they're not gonna, you know.
Wait, let me write that down.
So there's so many factors that go into it.
I see. What's the highest bail you've ever
I've had clients on no bond, so they're in. I have clients right now on a no bond.
At some point, when the judge says to your client, "You are held on no bond," do you ever turn to him and go, "Ooh"?
It's definitely a tough conversation to have.
You're like, "Hey, buddy, this is gonna be a rough one."
Yeah, no, that we've had that conversation before.
And this concept comes from the old English court. Did I say that right?
Old common law, English common law.
And is that essentially where our modern day court system came from?
Where ours comes from, yes.
I see. Do other countries do bail?
Other countries, there's a lot of countries that don't have the presumption of innocence like we do. We're very fortunate to have the presumption of innocence. In many countries, it's guilty until you show your innocence, and there's really no such thing as a bail system.
So you get accused, you go to court, you are essentially guilty, you're in jail until your case is proven otherwise.
Right.
And then here, it's more or less the opposite of that. You're innocent, and then you prove your innocence. I see.
Yeah.
Legal ramifications with Omar Carmona. Let's talk Monday night. Monday night, this is going in my no-watch category. I'm thinking of a million reasons to watch this game.
I've
only got one.
Aaron Rodgers' rebound. How? Let's see how he does.
You know how he's in the commercials and he's like, "Hey, did I get the Rodgers rate? What about the Rodgers rebound?" So that's one reason that I'm going to watch this game. Let's see if Aaron Rodgers is on the comeback. Detroit is given 11.5 points in this game. This is a battle of the 0-1s. And then lastly, this is going to be my season-long wife swap watch of Goff versus Stafford. Let's see who got the win each week. So I drummed up a few reasons to watch this game. But by and large, I'm not interested in Detroit going to Green Bay.
It's not that I'm not interested. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Packers still have enough talent. I think it's going to be 31-13 Green Bay.
I see Green Bay winning as well. The 11.5 makes me nervous, but I'm going to say Green Bay wins, but I'll go Detroit with the cover.
There you go.
Monday night. Week 2, the Sunday Night Talk with Omar Carmona. We covered it all.
It's in the books.
Omar, we said it all. Perhaps too much. See you next week, man.
All right, bud.
Okay, that is the show. That is the Sunday Night Talk for Week 2 in the NFL and beyond. We covered a lot of ground. Games. Stern. Omar's liberal mom and letting him listen to and view whatever the hell he wanted as a child. Legal ramifications. How about that? That segment is picking up. And who knew there was an educational element to this show? Usually it was just me and Omar ranting about God knows what, and food, football, things like that. But now we got legal ramifications. If you have questions that you want to ask Omar, send them to me. Hit me up in the DMs, on the socials, anywhere. I'll ask them, and we'll have new legal questions. So, for the Sunday Night Talk, don't forget to look out for the new Running It Back episode this week on my YouTube channel. For myself, Patrick Ramirez, and for Omar Carmona, that was the Sunday Night Talk for Week 2. See you next week.